Hello and welcome back to Hank's Yarncast. My name is Casey. I'm the owner and operator of Hank's Yarn Parlour in Belfast, Northern Ireland. You're very welcome here and thank you so much for joining me, just where I can update you on any shop news and also have a chat about what I've been knitting and crocheting on. So thanks for joining me. First thing I want to talk about, I do have a little bit of shop news. First off, I wanted to chat about a new class that I'm going to be running, and it's an amigurumi class, and we are going to be making this little Easter lamb. How cute is he, you guys? Oh my gosh. The ears, his little fluffy head. Let me get that to focus on the sheep and not my face. Okay, so this class is coming just before Easter. This is going to be March 25th that class is coming up to. Really thrilled about this. This amigurumi classes are always loads of fun. This class includes all the materials just like all our classes do. So it's £25 a person. March 25th from 6:30 until 9 here in the shop. You just need to bring your own crochet hook. So I am recommending about a 3mm hook. If you crochet a little bit on the looser side, you might consider going down a size, maybe do a 2.5, just because we want to make sure the stitches are nice and tight in here so that our stuffing doesn't poke through. But if you've been interested in learning how to make 3D shapes like this, then you may be interested in that class. So you can find all of the details for that and the next class I'm going to tell you about on our website, hanksyarnparlour.com, under the events tab, and I'll of course have a link to it in the description below as well. And then coming up shortly after that, actually the night after that, there is going to be another Knitting for Beginners class. So if you're thinking about learning how to knit, maybe you already crochet or maybe you do neither and you're just here for the crack, there will be a class, a two-part class for our beginners knitting class that takes place, I believe, on the 26th of March and the also the following Thursday, which I think is the 2nd of April. I think that's right. And then back by popular demand also is going to be our stripy sock class. I love doing this class. It's always really popular. We always have loads of fun in it. So if you are interested in learning how to knit socks, these ones are done with a afterthought heel. So we won't faff around with heel turns and heel flaps and gussets and all of that nonsense. There is an easier way to make a sock if it's your first sock. No shade to heel flap gussets. I think they make a great fitting sock. Just not really my personal favorite one to faff around on. It was the first sock that I tried when I learned to knit socks, and I barely got one sock finished. Absolutely hated it. Put socks down, didn't pick socks back up again for another 4 or 5 years. Yeah, that's how enjoyable that experience was. So we're going to do the afterthought method. It's a little bit, I think it's much easier to shape the heel this way. It also means that you can put the heel placement in after you've knit the tube of the sock, so you don't have to faff around figuring out measurements as you go. You can just knit the tube and then come back and put the heel in afterwards. So we like that. I believe that class is the 1st of April. If I'm mistaken, I'll correct the dates here, but I believe it's the 1st and the 15th of April, which are Wednesday evenings, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so let's get into what I've been working on. There's been a few things going on, which is kind of fun because last time I chatted to you guys, I didn't really have anything on the needles. So what to talk about first? Probably gotta talk about this Possum yarn, right? Okay, so last time my dear friend Michael had brought me home some yarn from New Zealand when he was there visiting his family at Christmas time, and it's a merino possum blend. So I've got it cast on now. I've decided that I was gonna go just make myself like a wrap. I just kind of wanted something simple that was just really gonna show off this yarn on its own. I have decided to go with brioche stitch here, just one color brioche, fancy looking rib. Mostly just because I like the squishiness. It's very plush kind of fabric, so I guess what I wanted out of this project, I was kind of a little bit torn when I chatted to you guys about it last month, just about what I was going to make with it. I gotta be honest, I'm still not 100% sold on the wrap. I like how this is coming out. I'm actually really enjoying the fabric, and it is kind of giving that cuddly squish that I wanted. That's what I wanted. It's meant to be a really nice warm yarn, and I just wanted a really kind of cuddly little wrap, or maybe a shrug or something like that I could just kind of snuggle up in. But I only have I have 200 grams of this. It's 4-ply weight, so not quite enough to make a jumper. Definitely regret not getting the third skein, but sure. So yeah, so it's going. It's been on the needle for a couple of weeks. It's not growing very fast because it's brioche and it just doesn't grow very fast, and also it has not had 100% of my attention either. I was really gung-ho when I cast it on, and I did the majority of this, like probably almost up to here in like one sitting. And then, to be honest with you, I actually kind of got a little, like, after working on that massive jumper, I thought I just needed something that was going to be a little bit easier, at least like really easy, you know, kind of stitch pattern to remember. I wasn't really feeling doing anything with cables or that sort of thing, so I thought, okay, just basic brioche. It's, you know, a little bit more involved than stockinette, but yeah, it just kind of seemed to fit the bill. It was going to be, you know, easy enough that I didn't have to kind of keep referring back to the pattern, which there isn't one, by the way. I've just kind of cast on so many stitches here and just started it and decided that basically what I was going to do is knit like a really long rectangle and then graft it together at the end to make a continuous loop. And my feeling was, so once upon a time ago, I used to have this sort of like knit jersey, like stretchy kind of fabric, like infinity scarf sort of thing. And the great thing about it is because when you kind of spread out the fabric, it was probably about this wide, sort of like a pashmina, but in a loop. And the great thing about it is that you kind of just put it over your shoulders like a little bolero. I've got another shawl here that I just thought I would kind of demonstrate what I mean by that. So I've just tied this one in a loop, but the idea being that you can kind of stick an arm in each of the sides here, and then it would kind of go across the back, and that this bit at the bottom would be shorter, and it would kind of sit up here, so you get some coverage sort of around your shoulders and around your kidneys, which is where I tend to feel the cold the most, I guess. So yeah, and just something that I still felt like I could kind of pull over me like this, and it was still going to be, yeah, nice and snuggly. However, having gotten this far on it, I'm bored already. It's coming out exactly how I wanted to as well. Like the fabric is perfect. I am happy with the gauge. The fabric is a bit drapey. It's still squishy. It's so lovely and soft as well. I mean, like when I felt it in the ball, it's quite a dense ball. It didn't feel all that different to just regular merino, but actually it seems to be almost like blooming as I'm knitting with it, which is a bit bizarre. I think it's probably actually just more the fact that now in the fabric that it's not like totally wound into such a tight ball, and it's kind of getting a chance to poof itself out, I guess. So yeah, I'm not sure about this one. I am loving the fabric. I love how it feels. I love the color. I'm just kind of like the actual knitting part is getting a bit boring. I guess I do just need maybe a little tiny bit more engagement than this right now. It's not engaging me the right way. I'm not, after I kind of got that big chunk done, I just kind of put it down and didn't really go back for it again. I think I'm just still on the fence about whether or not this is really what I want to make. And the other thing that I did kind of realize after I set myself up with this provisional cast on and all is that I have never tried to graft brioche. We did do a little bit of surgery on the Creole cowl that I knit last year, but all of the grafting involved in that was done in the kind of like transition from the end of the brioche section to the garter section. Now, I do not know how to graft brioche to brioche invisibly. I am sure that there must be a way. Haven't really gone down that rabbit hole looking yet. YouTube's always been my best friend there, so I'll maybe go have a look and see if I can't figure it out. But that kind of seemed like a in the future problem. I don't know, it's maybe just weighing in the back of my head, but I haven't totally decided if I'm happy enough to keep on working with this, or if I actually just want to rip it out and start something else that I really can't make up my mind. So I suppose it's been kind of in a little bit of a timeout, just while I have a think about what I want to do with it. But the yarn itself I am really enjoying. It feels lovely. I love this sort of cognac-y color. I think it's gorgeous. Probably fit in with a lot of my wardrobe as well. So looking forward to getting something done with it. Just having a little bit of one of those perfection paralysis where I'm not 100% sure that this is what I want it to be, but that's okay. I did end up putting it down and picking up something else that I kind of put down ages ago and actually haven't gone back to, and that is my Franny Granny pullover. Now, I can't remember what episode of the podcast I had this in when I first chatted about it. It was definitely like 8 months ago, though. Like, it must have been August or September last year, like sometime around there. Anyway, I had the opportunity, I had the time to get all of my squares and a couple of triangles joined for the yoke. Still a few ends to weave in, but never mind about that. So I got all the squares for the yoke joined, and then I had a little bit of a cheating moment, and I picked up the stitches for the ribbing on the collar, and I knit them. I didn't crochet them. Why? Mostly because I actually just dislike the process of working crocheted ribbing. There's something about it. It feels like even more of a slog than knitted ribbing, and I was just not looking forward to doing that. And I know that I can knit way faster than I crochet anyway, and truth be told, I kind of just wanted to get the yoke together and give it a quick block because I was a little bit concerned that it was maybe going to be a bit small. Turns out, though, even though it looks tiny, like when I hold it up, it looks absolutely tiny. But in fact, it does sit. Actually, I'll just show off here. I'll just throw it over top of my sweater here. But according to, so these little triangles are meant to sit right at the shoulders. That's where they are. And the neckline on mine looks about the same as the photo, which I will pop back up here for reference. And her, like the point of her lowest square comes kind of just between the breast, about at the sternum, which is where mine is. So that's great. Oh, my hair's making that not sit quite right at the back, and it's all bunched up on itself. But yeah, should be sitting about the same sort of place in the back, which it seems to. So, happy enough to carry on now that I know we're kind of on the right track with the sizing. Right, so this is kind of the the off-white, the natural kind of colorway, and I had picked 3 other colors to go with this, which are these 3. This one's coming out a little orange. This is actually, it's like a coral pink. Definitely not as orangey as it's coming up on the screen, but yeah, I kind of thought this was really going to give like a nice sort of spring, summery, beachy kind of vibe almost. So looking forward to working on that a little bit. I have kind of lost the run of myself though when I, oops, one ball's away. One sec. When I started this project last year, I had picked out all the colors and I had kind of decided what order they were going into. I definitely knew that I wanted the majority of it to be white and that there was going to be kind of some stripes with these 3 colors, and then I'll probably finish it off in the white as well. If I don't finish it off in the white, I think I'll finish it off in this sort of brassy color. But I can't figure out, nor can I really decide on what order to start the stripes in again. Like I'm not totally sure, but I think I intended to go kind of from white to coral and then the blue and then the brass. I think that's what I was going to do. I think that kind of keeps the overall look a little bit warmer, because I had also toyed with the idea of maybe doing it blue first, but for some reason with that blue a bit closer to my face, I feel like that just kind of cools down the whole look. So yeah, I think just kind of sandwiching the blue one in between the 2 warmer tones I think looks a little bit better maybe. And then I need to decide whether this is going to be like actually kind of like stripey or if it's going to be more like sort of color block sort of thing. Either way, I need to decide kind of how big each one of those, if it's like how many rounds of the jumper that's going to kind of sort of how many rounds each color is going to be. So if it's just going to be kind of like 1, 2, and I'm sure it'll be more than 1. One's not going to go very far for me, so it'll probably be 2 or 3 before I switch colors. And then I don't know, I might just need to play with that. I might just need to actually try it out and see kind of how far. I think it's probably going to take like 2 rows of the granny stitch to get about 1 inch worth of fabric. So I'm kind of feeling like maybe each stripe needs to be like at least 2 inches. I don't know. I think that's going to be a little bit of a try it as you go sort of thing. But yeah, hopefully we'll have made some more progress very shortly on this, and hopefully it will be ready to wear when spring comes, if it ever comes. It's been a really, really miserable winter here in Belfast, and I mean, if you're local, you don't need me to tell you that, but holy smokes, I mean, let's be honest, I mean, the UK and Ireland are always fairly wet, but I kind of feel like the weather's just taken the mick a little bit now. It has not stopped raining for at least 3 weeks now. Had a bit of drama in the shop actually with thermometer coming through the ceiling, and that's not happening anymore at the moment, touch wood. It feels really dark still here, like even though the nights are supposed to be, or the days rather, supposed to be getting a little bit longer, it even just during the day, it feels so dark here. It's not just overcast, it is like that sort of blue purple twilighty thing that you normally get, you know, at twilight when it starts to get dark. It feels like that is happening just constantly. Like we're not really getting any actual daylight at any point. It's been bizarre. So yeah, I haven't been feeling super spring garments yet, spring projects yet. I think I've been mostly just like, no, I still want cuddly, warm winter hibernation projects. And that's gonna bring me to the last thing that I wanted to share with you guys this time. So I had an urge. I had a bit of a notion. I've actually been meaning to be fair. I have been meaning to make a proper shop sample with our Rosario's Folklore. This is their 100% Portuguese Aran yarn. And it's lovely. It's a bit woolly, but it's not itchy. But I feel like this is really, really good for like outerwear, jackety kind of things. I did nearly make a hat with it, but so I'm completely in love with this toffee color. And I'm also really in love with how much this sort of blue-gray one complements it. I just think they're lovely together. So I took a couple of these balls home over the weekend. So today's Thursday, so last weekend I took a couple of these home and thought I'll get something cast on over the weekend. I'll get a sample made up, probably a hat, something small, maybe a cowl, something that's not going to take more than kind of the 2 balls that I brought home. Now also, over the weekends, this was actually a couple weeks before, but I got this, I had this moment of inspiration or kind of awe, I suppose you could say, while I was watching TV. So I've been watching Broadchurch with my partner. It's a BBC series with Olivia Colman and David Tennant, police drama. It's on Netflix at the moment in the UK, if you're curious. I'm not sure if it's still on the iPlayer or whatever, but if you're into cop shows, I really like it. I've seen it before, but he hadn't. So anyway, we were rewatching it, and one of the characters in it has, very briefly, in one episode, for like 30 seconds, she's wearing this really incredible Farrell cardigan with it's yellow. I'm gonna try to find a photo of it. I scoured the internet when I was looking, because as you do, you see the photo and you go to the internet, Reddit or Facebook or wherever you are, and ask knitters of the internet if they've seen a pattern or if they recognize it or if they've seen something similar. However, it was really difficult to find a photo of this, so I haven't actually done that. I might actually grab a screen cap of it and throw it up here, but so it has this really magnificent, like, super deep shawl collar on it. Like, you fold it over, it's still like this deep around nothing. Oh, it just looks so amazing. And it just, I've had major sweater envy over that cardigan. It's definitely knit, like machine knit, it's commercially made. I'm pretty sure anyway. Like, the yarn the stitches look too fine to be like a regular 4-ply hand knit. I think they are. I could be wrong. If that was hand knitted, or in short, what the point I'm getting to is if I were to hand knit it myself, it would take an absolute age. I'm not sure if I would live long enough to complete this cardigan. So, as pretty as it is, and as much as I love it, so it just kind of gave me that, you know what, I think what I really love about it, apart from the cheery colors, definitely did get me, because it's like bright yellow, and if you guys have hung around me for a bit, then you absolutely know I'm such a sucker for anything that's yellow. But back to my point, I just decided that it was kind of mostly the feel of the cardigan itself, that really big, nice plush collar, and it had folded cuffs, and I believe it was belted, and it was quite long as well, like probably like down to the middle of her thigh, I think, like quite a long cardigan. So now you understand why it would be such a labor of love for me to do it in 4-ply. So anyway, I've decided that sort of like a Starsky and Hutch sort of old man 70s cardigan with a shawl collar is what I really felt like knitting right now. Like there's just, I mean, yeah, that's the shape. Anyway, that's what I want. I want a really nice big snuggly cardigan, and I want it sort of like not really oversized, but big enough that, you know, it could kind of wear as like a bit of a jacket throughout the spring, maybe. So my next step was, well, what have I got in my Ravelry library that is even remotely that shape? And I do, in fact, what popped into my head right away was Andrea Mowry's Spark cardigan. Let's put that up here. I knit this for my mum a couple of years ago. Really great pattern, super easy to follow. I love the shape of it. I love that it has a little double knitted belt that goes around it. Yeah, everything about it was just great. But yeah, shape-wise, that's it. I might make mine a bit longer than hers because hers this one kind of comes sort of just past the hip sort of thing. I might make mine, I'm not sure if I'm going to go down kind of mid-thigh or not. I don't know that. The thing is this is knit bottom up, so that is actually something I'm going to have to take into consideration. Now, the Spark cardigan didn't have the Colourwork motif that I was really after. That wasn't kind of what I was feeling. I wanted something that would have been a little bit more, I mean, my brain is trying to say traditional, but whose tradition? What culture's tradition? There's a lot of sort of mishmash of knitting going on, knitting styles going on, stranded motifs that kind of get crossed over and whatnot as well. So, anyways, what I kind of was aiming at was something with a lot of sort of like smaller motifs, kind of like little periods, little kind of crosses, or little diamonds, that sort of thing. Was, I think, the aesthetic that I was going for. And then what popped into my head a few days later while I was mulling that over was the, I have a pattern book by Fiona Alice, who is a fellow Canadian. She's a designer, and she released a book with Pom Pom. Oh, in 2021, I want to say. A few years ago anyway, 4 or 5 years ago, she released this book. And what is the title? It's something Transatlantic Knitting Journey. I'm totally having an absolute brain fart, you guys. Sorry. I'll throw it up here. Anyway, in that book, she has the most glorious pattern for an Aran weight, which is what this is. Aran weight Colourwork cowl that had the sort of motifs on it that I was at. It just popped into my head, and I was like, oh, you know what? Something along those lines. That's what I'm looking for. Here's a photo of the cowl. Now, I actually, when I got the book, I did actually knit this cowl. I got about halfway through it before I decided that the colors that I chose for, and I did try to pick, because what really struck me about this was this sort of pink, purple, orange palette. I actually really love this. I think it's absolutely stunning. Love it. And at the time, I picked a really similar palette. It was also purple, pink, and orange, but unfortunately my orange and my pink, both beautiful colors, but not enough of a contrast between the two of them, so they were getting really, really muddy in some sections of the chart. It was not looking pretty, so I ended up frogging it, and I never restarted it, and I'm kind of glad now. I think I might actually go read this, and I might make one with if there are any leftovers from my cardigan. Anyway, long story short, so that cowl has 4 different charts that make up kind of the whole pattern. Now, the only thing that I didn't really like about this is if you can see the parts where there's quite a bit of like white space. Like that white background color is taking up a lot of space, and it's really kind of like it. I feel like that really kind of draws your attention to it. It just like it's so high contrast to the rest of the cowl that those bits kind of really stick out. And so I knew that I was going to have to play around colors a little bit, maybe in terms of how I was. By the way, sorry, I will show you all the colors that I picked. Probably should have started there. So it started with this toffee. I knew that this was kind of going to be my main color. Love it. And this sort of blue slate. It's blue, but it's gray. It's just like a really, really almost like dull petrol-y blue. It was quite dark. And then there's this lovely burgundy. And the final one is actually, I picked this kind of light, sort of old pink sort of color. It's a little bit darker than it is showing up on the screen there. But unfortunately in the folklore, I don't carry a color kind of like this. Like my lighter one would have been white, and I just felt like that was just a bit too high contrast for me. So this is also Rosario's. It is their bio wool. Also, Aaron, this one just comes with 50-gram balls, and I believe that this is a blend of wool. Tiny bit soft. Well, actually, it's a fair bit softer than these ones are, but probably this one is going to end up being used the least in my pattern. So what I did is, in the end, I kind of went and looked at the charts and decided, well, I want to play the colors in what order they go in, and kind of what way I should kind of swap them out with the original pattern. So what I did was I took 2 of the 4 charts and I eliminated the other 2 charts that had most of the white space in it, and I thought, well, I think I can just do it actually with these 2 charts. They do kind of marry into each other, so if I just pull that down, and it lines up here, and then also like what's at the top of this chart will fit in with this repeat here. So I kind of found that I don't need the other 2 charts to kind of make that seamless integration. So I thought, well, maybe we'll just keep it simple and work off these 2 charts. So I stuck them into Stitch Fiddle and put the colors that I wanted to use. I did try a few different combinations, but this seems to be the one that worked the best for me. I think it has the least amount of the red and pink and the most amount of the sort of toffee orange and the blue gray. So that is what I decided I would go with. And I'm basically, what I'm doing is I'm going to apply these motifs to Andrea Mowry's cardigan pattern. Now that's going to take just a little bit of finagling, because obviously I need to make sure that the stitch count for my charts works into the stitch count for the overall garment, so it might be a little bit of adjusting there. I did decide to start with the sleeves. So the Spark cardigan is knit bottom up, which means that you're also, and in fact the pattern itself does recommend that you start with the sleeves. So I thought, I love starting with the sleeve because I can use the sleeve as a swatch. I don't have a swatch. Well, I mean, technically we are still swatching. But at least somehow this swatch feels more like progress when it's on the actual thing. So stop rambling on about it and show you guys what I've got. So I've just got a little bit. Now it's got a folded cuff, so it's quite a generous, like 5-inch cuff, and that'll be rolled back on itself. I normally actually like doing like kind of fixing those down. Like I would normally provisionally cast this on, knit my ribbon, fold in 2, and then knit 2 together, but this time I kind of decided that I wanted to keep that actual folded look. So I'm just doing it the old-fashioned way. And yeah, I've kind of started off my first chart. Now I've already had a little bit of a hiccup here because I have to work out how I'm going to fit the sleeve increases into this chart, and there are, because the motifs are small, so it's an 8-stitch repeat, and in some of those sections, like sort of these bits where you get like quite a bit of that gray area and sort of like a multicolored lice stitch going on, those really kind of work on like 4-stitch repeat. So I'm trying to fit the increases in where they are least likely to disrupt the pattern. But they'll be like under the sleeve where you're not really going to see them anyway. So I just think that I'm going to, yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to play around a little bit with it. She kind of has the pattern that Andrea Mowry wrote. She kind of has you increasing like every 1.5 inches for my size as you go up the sleeve. But I'm not 100% sure that that's going to work super well for me. Now, I decided for the sake of the chart on the repeat that I would just start off with a bit bigger sleeve to begin with. So I added in enough stitches to have 1 extra repeat there. And that should be plenty big enough really to get me probably just about up to my elbow. So I think I'm not going to worry too much about the increases just yet. I'm going to see about getting to the end of this first chart and take a measurement, see kind of how, first of all, at that point, I'll check the gauge. So far, does seem to be on, very happily, both of these patterns call for a gauge of 20 stitches. Not that it would really matter for the Colourwork motif, but it was just kind of a happy coincidence. And seems to be what I'm getting so far, but of course, we're going to need to give this a bit of a block for, you know, just to be sure, because I don't know that this yarn, especially stranded with the Colourwork, like how much it's going to relax. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish the first charts, 24 rows, or rounds if you like, deep, and then I'm going to put it on some stitch holders and I will give it a bit of a block and see what it comes out like, and then depending on kind of how long it is already, how many rows, like what the row gauge is, then I can work out where I need to put the increases, just in terms of where, like how to spread them out, how often they need to happen, and what the final stitch count needs to be between here and to the armpit. So yeah, I think I'm kind of winging it a little bit, but having knit both these patterns before at least a little bit, I feel like I'm kind of familiar with them, and I am absolutely loving how these colors are knitting up together. I was a little bit hesitant about the burgundy of all the ones, actually, because it's a little bit on the red side for me. Like, it's maybe a little bit lighter than what I would normally choose. It's maybe a bit more red than burgundy colored, but I think it is coming out really well so far. So I'm pretty excited about this. Already feels like exactly kind of what I had in my head, that I was like, yeah, that's what's gonna make me go see. So yeah, so that is what I'm going to be working on for the next little while. I do also have a commission that's sort of hanging out in the wings for a black jumper for a gentleman named Jeff. The yarn for that is kind of MIA. I ordered, well, I have the main yarn, but he wanted a fluff held along with it, and I am waiting on the fluff. The fluff is stuck in Denmark in some post warehouse where all the post goes to never see the light of day again. Anyway, Cameron is trying to sort that out for me now, so hopefully that'll turn up next week and I'll get started on that as well, and I will hopefully have a little bit of that to share with you next time too. But for now, that's everything I've got. So thanks so much for joining me. If you've enjoyed your time with me, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and then you'll know when the next episode comes out. And if you are interested, if you're local, if you're interested in any of our workshops, don't forget to check out the website. Again, that'll be linked down below, as long as well as all the patterns that I've mentioned. And yeah, I think that, oh wait, one more thing that I wanted to show. I knew I was forgetting something. Maybe a little bit early for this, but I am delighted. Inspiring Yarns is running the Gathering Stitches Festival again at Castle Espy this year. So there was the inaugural festival, first one last year. Absolutely fantastic. Just a beautiful weekend for it. The weather was fantastic. The people were great. It was just a lovely, lovely experience. So very much so looking forward to doing that again this year. So that takes place on May 9th and 10th. I believe that's the second weekend in May. I think the first one's right at the start. And I believe the tickets are already available on the Gathering Stitches website. So can't remember exactly what they are off the top of my head. I think they're around a tenner. No, they're not dear. They're the same price as the entry to the Castle Espy grounds. So if you're thinking that it might be a nice day for the family, your ticket gets you entrance to the grounds as well. So you can come, check out the festival, and take your family on a nice little stroll around the wetlands there, maybe have a picnic, something like that. Like, great, great family day out. We had loads of families last year, and it was, yeah, wonderful. Everybody had a great time. So really looking forward to that again. I think that's all I had to share with you guys. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.